6:36, this is Breakfast with Stephen and Anne.
Yes, well, here we go. Let's look through the papers now with the former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson, and broadcaster Pete Price. Lovely to see you. I say here we go because there's such a lot to be talking about at the moment.
There is.
Wow, what a week, can you believe?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And what's The Guardian saying about this leadership race, Pete?
It's interesting, and I'm going to be totally honest with you and totally honest with all the viewers and listeners. I honestly know nothing about it. There's a list. There's 10 people there. There's 7 on that one. I don't know them. I've seen their faces. I don't trust them. I don't know who's going to be leader.
You can't say you don't trust them if you don't know them, can you?
Well, how will I get to know them? When we've gone through what we've gone through, and I bet you there's many people out there right now agreeing with every word I say. I'm being totally honest. I'm upset that Boris can't have his wedding at Chequers. He's lost out there, bless him.
But we don't know that, do we?
Yeah, he's cancelled it.
Oh, has he?
He's got to cancel. He can't even think about it. I mean, 10 out of 10 for how long he lasted. But I'm joking apart, I really mean it. We have no say in who's going to be there.
No.
In any shape or form. The press are salivating over it. They're having the best time in the world. But Joe Public out there, in my humble opinion, haven't a clue and don't care because they don't trust him anymore.
Yeah. Well,
Or
you know,
are they
it's
out of order?
No. I think it's a fair point, actually.
I mean, you don't even get a vote on the last 2 unless you're a fully paid up member of the Conservative Party. So it's not in our... It's not up to us.
And there are only 154. Numbers are a bit iffy, but I think there's about 154,000 fully paid up members of the Tory Party.
So they are going to decide who our next Prime Minister is.
The next Prime Minister over all of this is. The Guardian, I think, have done it rather well for once. It's not like me to praise The Guardian, to be fair. I mean, you know, front page, that picture of Rishi. You know, are you ready for Rishi? That slick 3-minute video, which I thought was a bit like...
Bit cringy.
Yeah, a bit cringy. And, you know, he's restoring trust, rebuilding the economy, reuniting the country, da, da, da. But on pages 2 and 3 of the Guardian, they've done this marvellous sort of like flowchart of who's the left-wing candidates and who's the right-wing candidates. And it goes from Tom Tugendhat to Suella Braverman on the right. So they've done it quite simply. So if you're like Pete and my husband, who doesn't have a clue who these people are either, it's quite easy to understand what's going on and who so far are the runners and riders, although only a few of them have actually come forward.
But Dawn, you say right and left. Right, that's their politics, that's their politics. But they've still got to sway how many people under them. They can't just make that decision.
No, absolutely, yeah.
So it's a minefield.
Yeah, but they get to appoint their cabinet, don't they, I suppose, so they can do that.
Yeah, but then the cabinet, do they agree with them? And how long are they going to last without walking out or resigning? It's a minefield.
Well, amidst all of this, Dawn, the Telegraph say tax cuts must wait.
Yes.
Says Sunak. Well, that's not going to be a
Well, this
vote
is,
with
I mean, hold on a minute. Aren't you the Conservative Chancellor or former Chancellor who wants to be the next Prime Minister? And surely the Conservative Party is about cutting taxes. Front page of the Telegraph, tax cuts must wait. Here's the serious candidate, obviously. He is evidently one of the more popular ones with the party faithful, and he's already got the backing of 6 former cabinet ministers. Jacob Rees-Mogg has been sort of like quite harsh on him and said, no, he's not getting my backing whatsoever because of the tax issue. Sunny has said, we need to be realistic here. I can't cut taxes while we're in this, you know, financial state we're in at the moment. And this is the reason that he resigned and fell out with Boris originally, because Boris wanted to cut corporation tax, and Rishi goes, we can't afford to do that. So that is why he went in the first place, evidently. But now he's come forward and he said, look, you know, you might not like it at the moment, but we can't cut taxes. Now, we're facing the highest taxes for 70 years, aren't we? I think it is, which is quite frightening. And but he is very popular. But he's got the backing of more than a dozen Tory MPs, and a Channel 4 poll of 500 Tory members last night put him in first place with 25% of the vote, followed by Liz Truss. So,
but this is only day one.
It is only day one, and this isn't going to be decided until September. But the other thing the Telegraph says, Anne, which it did make me chuckle a bit, I must admit, is you know, Rishi is there's no skeletons in his closet. Well, no, that's because they're all out already, aren't they?
Can I ask about the tax cuts? What your opinions on this is, because we have, I hate saying it all the time, we've had a pandemic and a lot of people are on furlough. Where did all that money come from? They've got to put some money back in the coffers. Surely So I don't want to pay high taxes at all. But where's the money coming from?
I suppose the argument is if you cut taxes, it stimulates the economy because we get more money in our pocket, therefore we go out and spend more. So actually, we'll generate more money for the economy if they reduce taxes.
Well, then they should go for VAT.
But that's the Tory way. That's what they've always done in the past. And suddenly, the Conservative Party seems to be more Labour and Green than the Conservative Party. And I think that's the issue a lot of the Tory faithful will have with Rishi, because he's not going to cut taxes, and I think that's what they want.
Can we move on to the Metropolitan Police, Pete?
Yep.
Because they've now announced a new boss. Do you think he'll be able to actually achieve anything?
I think he's got a job and a half. I know a few senior police officers that wouldn't touch this job with a barge pole, without any shadow of a doubt. He's two of the things he's going to go for is zero tolerance approach to rogue officers and driving back towards neighbourhood policing. This man has got a job and a half, but he's got to be allowed to have a chance at doing the job before the press hang on to every word and every reporter hangs on to every word. I mean, the 69,000 crimes have not been reported. That's one thing. You've got racism, which is dreadful. But my problem with racism is, if somebody is a racist, how do you change them? If they're indoctrinated into being a racist and they are a police officer, how can they be changed? Plus, social media doesn't help. And
No.
I'm saying it also does help because it shows some bad cases, but they can't do some editing on social media. On your own camera, you can edit a video of somebody being attacked, whatever, bits missing. You've got to give this man a chance. You've got to give this man a chance. You can't say after 2 weeks, it's not working. He's got a job and a half, and as I say, I know senior police officers wouldn't even think about that.
I know, I was just going to say how courageous he is to take it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Good money.
But the Met are in special measures at the moment, aren't they? Which is unheard of.
His specialism is counter-terrorism, though, so maybe counter-institutional racism and institutional sexism and all the rest of it. Maybe he's up for it.
I think, Anne, it's the misogyny that bothers me. I mean, obviously, we always remember Sarah Everard, but the two sisters, Bieber Henry and Nicole Smallman, who were murdered, and police officers were sharing pictures of the dead girls, which is frankly horrific. So,
But you have to bear in mind with all this, I always feel quite defensive of police officers in that there are always a few bad apples.
Of
who do
course,
things
of course.
But it brands the entire, certainly the Met in this case,
Yeah.
but police men and women as a whole are saying, oh, they're all rotten to the core. They're just not.
Stephen, I couldn't agree with you more. I have defended for 50 years on radio police officers. They can have enough bad press without me. And Merseyside Police, like other police forces, have got some sensational police officers, men and women, who work tirelessly. And then one thing, the press pick up on one story, and they're all, as you said, bad apples. There's some phenomenal police
they work
officers
very
out there.
hard, and you know, in their defence, I've got friends who are serving officers in London, and they say they are absolutely so tied down now with red tape and paperwork that it prevents them from actually doing the job of policing, which is what they love doing.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, because we're running out of time, can I ask? I know. Well, you'll be back. I just wanted to ask you about something we're going to be talking about later on in the programme, and that's baby names. Have you known any particularly brilliant names? People who you went to school with, astonishing names. Have a think about it, maybe, if you're listening.
Astonishing name.
Well, you know, just odd names like I went to school with a hazelnut.
Did you?
I went to school with
N-U-T-T was her surname, and her parents called her Hazel.
They did.
Miney.
What?
Miney. She was called Miney.
Miney.
Miney. Which I found a very peculiar
Well,
name.
yeah.
My real name was Raymond Worry, because I'm adopted. So I wasn't Pete Price. I was Raymond Worry.
Don't look like a Raymond.
No.
No, I don't look like a Raymond.
No,
No,
definitely
not a Raymond.
Definitely.
I'm definitely not a Raymond.
Have a think there for some interesting names.
Well, I should be full confession here. I should be called Maureen.
Maureen.
Don't I know?
Oh, you know.
It's a lovely name.
No,
but
who said that? My best friend
She
was
was a
Maureen.
Maureen.
Oh, don't, Stephen. It's not very sexy, is it? I'm sorry any Maureens watching or
But
listening.
you can
Sexy
carry a Maureen off.
Maureen's lovely
Looking
name.
like that.
Look, it's a nice name. My mum wants to call me Maureen. It's a family name. My mum, my nan, it goes back generations. So it's my middle name. But my dad wanted Dawn, I think, because he fancied the actress Irene Dawn Porter.
Oh, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah.
My middle name is Lloyd.
Lloyd.
Peter Lloyd Price.
Oh, that's quite posh, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, and very Welsh.
Yeah.
My granddad's middle name was Winder.
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 Yeah, Winder. Thomas
Winder.
Winder Dixon.
Or Winder.
Well, Winder.
It's a nice name,
Winder.
that.
He was
Unusual,
born in
isn't it?
he was born in 1907, 1908 or something. So there's I don't know what it's
Good job surname wasn't cleaner.
Winder Cleaner.
Oh, yes.
Madame
That's what I mean. You have to think so seriously if you are thinking of christening a baby or giving them a given name. You've got to think very carefully about how it's going to be for them in later life.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
No, she's thought of one. Go on.
I used to go out. It's not an unusual name. It's not a weird name. A boy called Vincent Daly when I was much younger at school, and I remember writing on my pencil case, "I love VD." And back in the day.
That's why my mum didn't call any of us Victoria. There's me and my two sisters, and my mother always wanted to call one of us Victoria, but she knew our initials would be VD.
Yes, yeah. I went to Vicky Dent. I went to school with
So
her.
you've
She
got to
was
think of
hated
these
being
things.
VD.
And of course, there's a lot of people listening now who won't even know what we're talking about.
No,
It's not
absolutely.
Don't worry.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Google
Times
it.
have changed.
Yes.
Look, Pete Dawn, thank you. See you.
Do get in touch if you've got any unusual names in your family or juxtapositions of names that have turned out to be a bit strange.
Yes.
GBViews at gbnews.uk.
So, from